Welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this wonderful Thursday. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, or listening on Podbean, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the episode, and leave a comment down below. Spotify, if you're listening on there, share around with others and follow on there as well. Podbean, same thing. If you're listening on there, share around with others and follow on there as well. We have Twitter and we have Facebook. Twitter, it's at pigskin_frenzy, all lowercase. All you got to do is type that bad boy in on the search engine. You'll find it. You'll follow the page, like the page there. You'll get episode updates as well as news, notifications, and highlights from across college and NFL football. Facebook, same thing. All you got to do is type in Pigskin Frenzy there. You'll find it. Follow and like the page, and then you'll get episode updates as well as news, highlights, and notifications from across college and NFL football. Check the calendars, ladies and gentlemen. Today is April 27th. I wonder what's today. Oh, yeah, the NFL Draft. I told you it's finally here. I've been beating a dead horse with it for over a month, ever since the show started, but we're finally here. NFL Draft edition of Pigskin Frenzy as advertised. We're going to get into the NFL Draft, talk all things draft final updates as we prepare for the Panthers to go on the clock in about a few hours tonight at 8 Eastern on ABC, NFL Network, and NFL Plus for the first time ever, as well as ESPN on the main channel, ESPN. Also, it is live from Kansas City, Missouri, Union Station. I've been around Union Station my fair share of times and been up in Kansas City a lot. So if you're from the area, entry is free. Entry is free to go into the draft and just watch and view everything and the spectacle that is the NFL Draft. So 2023 Draft is here. I'm so excited. I'm pumped. We're going to talk about it this whole episode. That's pretty much it, right? I'm going to give you my mock draft to conclude this episode for the moment we've all been waiting for, honestly. I said I was going to give you my predictions for, who's going where round one and, my take on everything. So we're going to do that, and we're going to get, to conclude the episode and tie everything in together. Before we kick to the draft, this has something to do with the draft. However, we're going to talk about it and kick everything off with it right now. So, breaking news out of New York, Green Bay, and probably the entire National Football League, AFC, NFC, you name it. It's huge. Breaking news. So the New York Jets and the Green Bay Packers have agreed to a trade for Aaron Rodgers. So it happened finally. And not only that, the press conference happened today. He arrived in New York today and spoke to the New York media for the first time ever. The Green Bay Packers and the New York Jets have agreed to a trade that includes major compensation. One of those, it has something to do with the draft Thursday or tonight. It is the 13th pick and the 15th pick. The Packers get the 13th pick. The Jets get the 15th pick. So they've swapped places. They get Aaron Rodgers. It's a doozy, ladies and gentlemen. Aaron Rodgers has been in Green Bay for about 13 plus years, is now taking his talents elsewhere for the first time in his career. This is a Tom Brady-esque move, and it's not like, okay, he left on his own and he signed, but it's a Tom Brady-esque move to the point where, okay, it's a legendary Hall of Fame quarterback in Aaron Rodgers going to the New York Jets after, a bunch of time and spending his whole career there. He got drafted there, came from Cal, and he got drafted from there, wore number 8, then switched to number 12, and it kind of mimicked Tom Brady. He sat behind Brett Favre. Brett Favre ended up leaving the Green Bay Packers, retiring in his first retirement, and then Aaron Rodgers took over for the Green Bay Packers. So what's kind of funny is Brett Favre ended up going to into the New York Jets his first season when he came back out of retirement, which was funny. So it's kind of like, okay, these Green Bay Packer quarterbacks, must have something for the New York Jets. But nonetheless, Aaron Rodgers going to the New York Jets. What does this mean for the NFL and the AFC alike? It means a lot. The Jets are building. I'm not going to sit there and say that, okay, they're a powerhouse now. No, I'm not going to say that at all. They could be a powerhouse if they get more pieces around him and build more around Aaron Rodgers, right? You already got Brees Hall. You got a good running back in Brees Hall. You got a good receiver in Garrett Wilson. You already got CJ Umazama from who just joined the Jets last season from the Bengals. You have on defense, you have Quentin Williams up front from Alabama, who played there in Alabama, and then you got Sauce Gardner, defensive rookie of the year, who's turning in probably into could be a defensive player of the year candidate for the National Football League. He's an excellent corner. He's a lockdown corner. He's turning into one of the best and the elites in the NFL already. And he's going into his second season. So Sauce Gardner's up there. It's going to be a good team to build around on defense and on offense. So it's a good thing, but you need more pieces around there to help Aaron Rodgers, an offensive line. You got to start there. And hint, hint, that's where I'm going to go later in the mock draft with the Jets. So hint, hint there. We need to have, you need to build your lineup for the Jets. You need to build and get more receivers and more help, because if you just lock down Garrett Wilson, who else is he going to throw to? CJ Uzomah is going to be his second choice. And then there you go. It's settled. You can lock down Uzomah, and you can lock down Garrett Wilson. So it's one of those things where you're going to have to get some more help. You're going to have to get some more blockers. And then you win some games, and then you're on fire. And then who knows? You're there. You're there, and you're in, as we say, you're in there like swimwear. So, and when I immediately, and I'm just going to sit there, when I immediately saw this trade go through a couple of days ago, I don't know, Frank Sinatra popped in my head. Multi-generational famous singer Frank Sinatra, has the song theme from New York, New York, New York, New York, start spreading the news. That's what Aaron Rodgers was saying. Aaron Rodgers found out that trade. He posted his heartfelt goodbye to the Green Bay Packers organization. He thanked everyone there, and then he sang the song, start spreading the news, I'm leaving today, as he was waving by on his jet, get it? Knee slapper there to the New York Jets. So it was expected. He's been wanting to go to the Jets for a while. He said it on the Pat McAfee show a month back that he wanted this trade to go through. It happened. The New York Jets have picked up Aaron Rodgers. Business has picked up. They now have the fourth best odds to win the Super Bowl. They are tied with the Dallas Cowboys as of this moment now. So Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets. It's official. He had a press conference today. He said that Super Bowl III trophy looks a little bit lonely. And you know what he's aiming for. You know why he's in New York. He wants to win it all. He wants to win another Super Bowl before he eventually calls it. Now, again, I'm going to, if we dive deeper into this trade, it's a long story, but was it worth the major compensation if Aaron Rodgers only plays for 1 or 2 years? That's a question there. That's the only question I have. I think the Jets have a shot to be a wild card playoff team right now. I don't think right now it is the time to compare them right now to the Kansas City Chiefs or even in their own division as a Buffalo Bills. So it's kind of hard right now to compare them as one of the three best in the AFC, along with Cincinnati, Kansas City, and Buffalo. But it's one of those things where they can improve and they can build on. And it's a good pickup. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers. It's a Hall of Fame quarterback, but you just got to build up. Was it a good deal if he only stays there 1 or 2 years? It probably wasn't, because you're giving up a lot of compensation for one dude that only stays for a couple of years, and y'all may not even win a championship yet. So it's kind of hard. It is really, really hard. So what do I say is it's good right now, but I would not think, and this is my final thoughts on this, I would not think with excitement when it comes to Aaron Rodgers joining the Jets yet. I would not think, okay, they're going to win the Super Bowl, because you're thinking with your head, and you're not really thinking with your head, you're thinking with the excitement. Let's think logically with your head, and let's think smart here for a second. Let's not think smarter, not harder, So I think with logically speaking, the Jets have a shot to go to the wild card playoff now. Right now. Am I going to sit there and say they're a Super Bowl contender? It's kind of hard to sit there and say that they are. You got to build them up first. That's just my take on it. You have to build them up and keep building and keep winning games. And then when you win games, and then when you build them up, have a line and have everything ready, then they'll be ready. And then my team may change. But I have to wait until September. That's just my take. I have to wait until September to see what that division and see what the Jets are going to do and what they're going to look like. They're going to look like a completely different team for once and for all. Zach Wilson is no longer the starting quarterback. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers will be. Zach Wilson needs to learn, and that's my also another take on that. But we'll get into that later. But my point exactly is this: Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets it could be a good pickup if you build around him. He's still a legendary quarterback, but he cannot do it by himself. Tom Brady couldn't do it by himself, and he's the GOAT, right? He couldn't do it by himself. You got to have pieces around you to, get to that championship level. Can the Jets get there? Maybe. Again, you got to build them up. So that's my thoughts. Aaron Rodgers is now a New York Jet. The long-awaited trade has happened. They swapped picks, 13th and 15th. 13th belonging to the Packers, and the Jets now owning the 15th pick tonight. So, moving on, let's talk about the NFL draft. Now, let's talk about the full draft. Now, that was just, I had to kick that off and talk about the Aaron Rodgers situation there. Let's go over and talk about the NFL draft, our final updates as we know it. So, going into the night, I've been hearing a lot about the number 2 pick. It's looking like defense. Now, let me just say this. I've been hearing also a lot of the Texans hyping up, so to speak, hyping up Will Levis as a presumed number 2 pick. I will get into that in the mock draft, okay? I will get into that in the mock draft, but I've been hearing some rumors on that. So, right now, as we speak, the Carolina Panthers have decided on the number 1 overall pick for tonight. We don't know. I mean, obviously, we're not going to sit here and say who it is. We can make assumptions. It's Bryce Young. It's C.J. Stroud back in the top 5 again. It's Will Levis, the shocker. Who knows? It's Will Anderson. Who knows? But they decided on the number 1 pick. It's most likely quarterback. It's most likely either going to be a Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, or Will Levis. Or Anthony Richardson. So, yes, they have decided on the number 1 pick. That is a big final update I can give you there. We can also give you another update with the Houston Texans. They are looking into trading, and they have, called other teams about trading up their number 12 pick in the draft. So, that's interesting. I would assume that they were going to pick a top player there. And here's what I was assuming. They were going to pick defense and pick the number 12 pick and try to get a quarterback there. So I thought that was my plan, and they still may. But they have, been taking calls on trading for that number 12 pick. I've been hearing some final updates here with the Kansas City Chiefs moving up and trading for a pick. That's huge. Kansas City and Union Station, if you're listening out there, make some noise. I'm doing the hand signal to make some noise. Throw it up. Chiefs Kingdom. So I've been hearing some noise on that. I've been hearing some noise about some, quite possibly some 2 picks that they could make if the Chiefs trade up. They haven't announced that they were trading up. It's just speculation at this point. But been hearing some calls about that. They've been looking at Alabama running back Jahmyr Gibbs and Boston College wide receiver Zay Flowers. Both extremely good picks, and it helps Patrick Mahomes add some more weapons to an already defending Super Bowl championship team. So it's looking solid for the Chiefs. They're scheduled to go on last pick, number 31. So I have heard nothing yet about the Arizona Cardinals pick. It's looking like Arizona is going to remain at number 3. No calls yet there. I've been hearing some trades going on with some current players in the league. I've been hearing the Dolphins linking up with the Vikings in an attempt to get a trade on with running back Dalvin Cook. That's huge. I've been hearing about that. I've been hearing some wide receiver rumors with DeAndre Hopkins and some trade. He could be traded in the draft. I've also been hearing some rumors about that. These are some final draft updates I've been hearing across the board. it's insane. It's like, okay, you're sitting there and you're thinking, this could be huge. This is going to be a huge night. I will say this, and here's a big update. It is supposed to be the most unexpected draft that we have seen in quite some time, which is interesting. It always makes good for the spectacle, right? To make it unexpected and to make it, fun to watch tonight. So I'm excited about tonight. I'm excited about the first round. I'm ready for it. And, I'm excited. Those are some major and some final updates as we get ready for the NFL draft. Again, Carolina has a consensus number 1 pick. The Texans are listening to calls about the number 12th pick, and we have the Chiefs who could move up to try to get 2 impact players, most notably a Zay Flowers or a Jahmyr Gibbs. So it's looking good for tonight. Those were my final, updates for across the board. And who knows, I mean, the DeAndre Hopkins thing may happen and the Dalvin Cook thing may happen, but those are some 2 big names who are currently in the National Football League that I would take a look out for who could get traded. So it's almost mind boggling. See, I'm having trouble talking about it because it's like, a D Hop and a Dalvin Cook may get traded during the draft. That's insane. But yeah, it could happen. Anything happens in the draft. Last year, AJ Brown got traded, right? AJ Brown got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. Huge pickup there. So it's looking like it's going to be an interesting night tonight. First round of the NFL draft live. Union Station, Kansas City. Pumped. That was my final round of updates for the NFL draft. I'll provide I'll probably go on Facebook and Twitter maybe and talk about, the NFL draft and recap night 1, post a video, or maybe even I'll go on Facebook and do a live recap. I may sit here or may sit in my living room in my house and just provide a go live and provide a recap on Pigskin Frenzy's Facebook page. Talking about round 1 of the NFL draft. So it's going to be an epic night. Can't wait for it. We're, moving along nicely. Final updates for everyone across the board. And I've been hearing also, just provide one more update before we move on. I've been hearing a lot about CJ Stroud not in the top 5, not even in the top 10. I don't know what's up with that. Honestly, I think that CJ Stroud is a top 10, not even top 10. I think he's a top 3 player, but he's fallen off for some reason. And I don't necessarily know the answer to that, but he's been getting a lot of flack these past couple of weeks, and it's moving more and more down out of the top 10 for Ohio State quarterback CJ Stroud. So that was my final round of updates. And now we're going to move on to the main event here, my Pigskin Frenzy round 1 mock draft. So moving on from the updates, going to the mock draft. Here we go. It's, listen, I mean, I've been waiting for this for a while. I've been waiting to release my mock draft and where I think players are going to go. And I'm pretty sure everyone listening here, for me beating a dead horse with the NFL draft for the past month and a half, saying, "Okay, dude, we've been waiting for you to just shut up about it and just tell us where you think everybody's going to go." Listen, I agree. I've been waiting, but you got to do it on draft day, right? So here we go. Round 1 mock draft, Pigskin Frenzy round 1 mock draft. And let's begin. The Carolina Panthers are on the clock tonight, number 1 overall pick. And here's who I got going number 1. Number 1, Carolina Panthers. They select quarterback Bryce Young, Alabama. So the thing I've been hearing about the Texans and the Panthers. So the Texans have been hyping up Will Levis as the number 2 pick, and hyping up and putting some momentum on Will Levis from Kentucky, and making the Panthers try to second guess themselves. It's what I've been looking at, and I'm thinking, okay, there's no way in my honest thoughts, there's no way the Carolina Panthers are going to buy into what the Texans are saying, and they're going to draft Will Levis at number 1. And that's not taking anything away from quarterback Will Levis. Will Levis is a phenomenal quarterback. He did well at Kentucky in his 2 years at Kentucky. I just don't think he's the number one overall pick. I think Bryce Young is the number one overall pick, and that's why the Texans are doing that. The Texans are wanting to do a smoke screen, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what we call a smoke screen in, trades, draft, football in general, in sports. That is what we call a smoke screen. It's a smoke screen means you're going to hype up and blow smoke on somebody, right? Blow smoke on a certain player, project, anything. And then that team is going to, the team who was the number one overall pick, right? Say the Carolina Panthers in this situation, are going to buy in to that smoke. They're going to grab a Will Levis and get that smoke so the number two team can get the real star player. So that's what the Texans are trying to do. They're trying to weasel their way into getting a quarterback, Bryce Young, and by blowing smoke. And I think it's quite funny. I think it's smart, and it's not going to happen. I think the Carolina Panthers have their number one pick, and I think Bryce Young is their guy. Carolina Panthers quarterback Bryce Young, he goes number one. That's not a big shock to me. I think that's the number one pick in my mock draft, at least. Number one, Carolina Panthers select quarterback Bryce Young out of Alabama. So number two is the Houston Texans. So if the smoke screen doesn't work, what do? In my opinion, they go defense. So in my opinion, I've been saying this for a month and a half now, ever since we started talking about the NFL draft on Pigskin Frenzy. The number two pick, Houston Texans select edge player Will Anderson, Alabama. I think he's the best defensive player in the draft overall. I think one of probably, if not the best player in the NFL draft. Will Anderson goes number two to the Houston Texans. Number three, Arizona Cardinals. I think that they're not trading up. So in my mind, they get edge rusher Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech. He's the second best one of the, if not the second or third best defensive player in this draft. Tyree Wilson had a monster few seasons at Texas Tech. Great overall player, great when pressuring the quarterback, great when pressuring an offensive lineman. He's your guy if you want a pure solidified edge rusher. Tyree Wilson's your guy. Edge rusher, Texas Tech. Tyree Wilson going to the Arizona Cardinals. Number four, we got the Indianapolis Colts on the clock. My pick here, quarterback Will Levis, Kentucky. I think he's the second quarterback taken off the board. I think the Indianapolis Colts are very high on Will Levis, being the face of their franchise and going to the Indianapolis Colts and just restarting their whole thing, and trying to bring them back to a level to where they could probably win a title. So they have not had a good quarterback situation probably since Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck is, in my opinion, if he wouldn't have gotten hurt, Andrew Luck would still be playing right now, and the Colts would consistently be in it. So, not just that. I mean, Phillip Rivers was a solid choice, but Andrew Luck was their guy, and he was an assassin for us. Just a cerebral assassin for Indianapolis Colts. So maybe they restart with Will Levis here. I think Will Levis gets selected at 4. Second quarterback off the board from Kentucky, quarterback Will Levis goes to the Indianapolis Colts. Number 5, we got the Seattle Seahawks. We got Georgia defensive tackle Jalen Carter selected here. And I think it's a good choice there if you want to build on that defense. Obviously, why not? Add more to that big defensive line at Seattle, and you pick up Jalen Carter. In my mind, despite what happened at Pro Day and despite what happened during his offseason, Jalen Carter is an electric football player. He's one of the best defensive tackles in the draft. He's a solid defensive player, solid on the attack. I would go with Jalen Carter to build up your defensive front on any team. And the Seattle Seahawks need a little bit of that push on defense a little bit. So why not restart that with Jalen Carter from Georgia? The number 6 pick, and it goes to the Detroit Lions. Detroit's hosting the draft next year. So just a little preview there. Detroit Lions, number 6, they go offensive lineman here, and they pick, in my opinion, the best O-lineman in the draft so far, Peter Skronsky. Peter Skronsky from Northwestern, they select him. He is, in my opinion, the best offensive lineman in the draft. Great pass block and great run blocker. All around great blocker for Northwestern and what he's done up there. Peter Skronsky, in my opinion, will, help out a little bit of that pressure that Jared Goff's been getting. Jared Goff's been sacked quite a few times last season. We need to protect him. So starting with Peter Skoronski and, Penei Sewell from Oregon, both of them keep building up that line. You want to make Jared Goff happy and you want to keep him around in Detroit. So let's start building that line more. Penei Sewell and Peter Skoronski from Northwestern, and adding him to the Detroit Lions there. Good pick there, in my opinion. That's just my projection on that one. Detroit Lions select Peter Skoronski for Northwestern in my mock draft. So continuing on, number 7, the Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock. They select quarterback CJ Stroud, Ohio State. So I don't know why he has gotten so little hype over these past couple of weeks, and everyone's been, not high on him. Everyone's been saying, okay, yeah, this guy, is going to get, he didn't pass all of his tests, his QB tests, and he didn't pass a lot of what's going on, in a lot of the mind tests and a lot of the, quarterback, IQ tests. And yes, while he did do low, and I've looked at the numbers, he did do low, he's still a talented football player. And it doesn't take anything away from his decision making. I think his decision making is crisp. It's not more crisp than Bryce Young's, unfortunately, but he's still a top quarterback in this draft, and he can be a top 10 to top 15 quarterback in this league someday with his pure athletic ability as well. So Bryce Young, I think, is a top 3 pick. But if you want to be realistic, and he has fallen, so to speak, Las Vegas needs a quarterback. Devontae Adams needs a guy to throw to him. Hunter Renfrow needs a guy to throw to him. Josh Jacobs needs a guy to slip him the ball a few times. Why not get CJ Stroud, Ohio State quarterback, as the number 7th pick there? I've been hearing that they've been looking to pick defensive back, but in my mock draft, let's just, go with CJ Stroud to Las Vegas. But speaking of defensive backs, number 8, Atlanta Falcons on the clock. They pick defensive back Christian Gonzalez, Oregon. I am really high on him. I think he is a solid defensive back, an all-around good defensive back. His zone coverage and his man-to-man coverage is bar none, probably the best in the draft. So Christian Gonzalez going to Atlanta there. Number 9, we have another tackle, number 9, to protect, Justin Fields. Paris Johnson Jr., Ohio State, a name that Justin Fields is familiar with. Paris Johnson going to the Chicago Bears to protect his old teammate in Justin Fields. The Justin Fields is the right player for the Bears, and I think it was a good thing that they traded the number 1 pick, because I think Justin Fields needs a little bit more time to develop, and he needs help up front. So what better way to get his old college teammate and to build that lineup for the Bears than to get Paris Johnson Jr., probably the second best tackle in the draft, taken off the board here early for Ohio State. Number 10, the Philadelphia Eagles. I have Devin Witherspoon, cornerback from Illinois, getting selected here. And I think Devin Witherspoon is a good defensive back. He is, in my mind, up there with Christian Gonzalez as one of the best DBs for Illinois. I think his zone coverage is amazing. His man-to-man, could be tweaked a little bit, but I think Devin Witherspoon is, a first-round talent, and he is a top 10 pick in my mind. So Devin Witherspoon, Illinois, going to the Philadelphia Eagles at number 10. Number 11, the Tennessee Titans, quarterback Hendon Hooker. You're probably thinking, okay, this guy, what is this guy doing? What about Anthony Richardson? I am really high on Hendon Hooker. He did really, really well for Tennessee last season, and he did well prior to his phenomenal season last year. So, I think Hendon Hooker is a good quarterback. I think, honestly, he could jump up and surprise everybody as a first-round pick for the Tennessee Titans. Honestly, if the trade with Trey Lance is not intimate, you want to go with somebody right now. I think Hendon Hooker is their guy. I think they're kind of iffy on Malik Willis, and they're iffy on they're iffy on Ryan Tannehill, and trying to work out some sort of trade package for him. So quarterback Hendon Hooker, get a fresh start, have somebody else to throw to, have somebody else, to throw to Traylon Burks. And Hendon Hooker, excellent passer. Excellent. He's a good, pure passer. Go with Hendon Hooker at number 11. My take for the Pigskin Frenzy mock draft. So, number 12, Houston Texans, they select quarterback Anthony Richardson from Florida. I think, honestly, and if they do not trade the pick, I think it would be a good thing to get Will Anderson and then pick up a quarterback in the 12th spot and get Anthony Richardson from Florida. He's got the good athleticism. Maybe his decision making needs to be worked on a little bit more, but Anthony Richardson going 12 would be a good spot there. Number 13, the Green Bay Packers are on the clock. Just like I said, through the Aaron Rodgers trade, they pick up wide receiver Zay Flowers from Boston College. The Green Bay Packers are now starting Jordan Love, right? They need Jordan Love to have some help, right? Uh, Zay Flowers is their guy. And I think to start off, with some good help for Jordan Love, I think Zay Flowers is probably the top wide receiver in the draft right now. He's got great numbers, great combine and pro day numbers, and what he did at Boston College was electric. Go with Zay Flowers to start off, to kickstart that offense with Jordan Love as now their new starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Number 14, the New England Patriots are on the clock here. They're going to pick defense in my mind, and I think they pick edge rusher Lucas Van Ness from Iowa. One of the best in the Big Ten on the edge. Great player. Great on the attack. With the offensive line, he could be, so-so, but he can still get to the quarterback and pressure the quarterback well. A lot of teams need an edge rusher. I think Lucas Van Ness is probably the third best in the draft right now. So Lucas Van Ness, number 14 in the draft. Number 15, New York Jets are on the clock. Aaron Rodgers trade. You get offensive lineman Anton Harrison, Oklahoma. You're starting to see a consistent theme in my mock draft. O-lineman. There's some teams out there that need some O-linemen. The Jets need to build on that O-line to, protect Aaron Rodgers and to try to build them as a championship caliber team. I think Anton Harris at Oklahoma was a bright spot of that 6-6 season last year. He blocked for Dylan. He was one of the key blockers for Dylan Gabriel last season. Anton Harrison played well. He is a first-round pick in my mind. New York Jets select Anton Harrison, offensive lineman for Oklahoma. Now, number 16, the Washington Commanders. You think, okay, are they going to pick quarterback or a big-time, player? No, they're number 16. I think we go with another offensive lineman here. You build up and hint, next year. You save for next year. So Washington Commanders, offensive lineman, Broderick Jones from Georgia is who I would select here. And this is in my mock draft. They select Broderick Jones from Georgia. He built on O-line, and I will tell you why. There's some updates and rumors going around that the best quarterback may not even be in this draft. He is in next year's draft, and he goes with the name of USC quarterback Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is the projected number 1 overall pick for next year's in 2024 in the NFL draft in 2024 going to Detroit. I think, the projections there are Washington Commanders may trade up some picks if they do well next season and, trade up to get the number 1 pick to bring Caleb Williams back to Washington, D.C. and to give him, give him that leverage and give him some hometown feel and going and playing as the new face of the Washington Commanders. Everybody's really high on him. And if that is the case and everybody's high on Caleb Williams, which I do think he is the best college football quarterback coming back in 2023, I think that you need to build on the O-line here. So Broderick Jones, Georgia O-line, just as a, build on the O-line as a hint towards the future. Moving on, number 17, Pittsburgh Steelers. They select defensive back Deonte Banks from Maryland. I think he's one of the best defensive backs in the draft as well. I mean, he's, I would say, third best right now, Deonte Banks. I think what he does, acceleration in the zone coverage is bar none. One of the best in the league in the draft. It could be one of the best in the league. Deonte Banks is the name I'd watch out for there. Pittsburgh Steelers select Deonte Banks from Maryland. Number 18, the Detroit Lions. Defensive back Brian Branch from Alabama. I think Brian Branch is a first-round pick. I think he's one of the most underrated defensive backs in this draft. I think what he did at Alabama these past few years have been, he's been on lock on a lot of these receivers. He's been really, really good. Brian Branch, I think he's going to be an NFL talent and one of those defensive backs that you got to look for. You got to look for and pick out and see, okay, where's he at almost. So Brian Branch, he hits hard. He locks down, and does his assignments well, and he reads receivers well as well. So Brian Branch, number 18 of the Detroit Lions out of Alabama. Number 19, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They go offense with this running back Bijan Robinson from Texas. I'm really high on Bijan Robinson. I think he's the best running back in this draft. I think that he, in my take, is one of the top running, and probably not the top, the best running back in this draft. There have been rumors about him going to the Eagles, which oh my, that would be insane. But I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Bijan Robinson, it is a good pick there to replace a Leonard Fournette who just left the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They need a running back. I think they picked Bijan Robinson from Texas, and he's the best in the class. So why not? That's my mock draft there for that one. Number 20, the Seattle Seahawks select edge rusher Nolan Smith. Keep building on that defense with Seattle. Keep building on that defense. And I think edge rusher Nolan Smith is one of the best in the draft, the most underrated in this draft. His numbers are off the chain. I think that what he has done is quite impressive at Georgia, and he's fast and he's smart and he's patient, and that's what you need in an edge rusher. So edge rusher Nolan Smith from Georgia getting selected to Seattle Seahawks. I think that's a good pick to build on that front for the Seattle Seahawks. Number 21, the Los Angeles Chargers. I think you should go tight end, and they can go tight end here. Dalton Kincaid from Utah. A lot of people thought Michael Mayer from Notre Dame would be picked first. I think tight end Dalton Kincaid gets picked first from Utah. I think that it would be a good option for Justin Herbert to throw a little bit more and shove it off to a tight end a little bit more and have a good blocker with Dalton Kincaid. He can block, he can protect, he can also catch, and he can accelerate on catch as well. And that's what you need in a tight end. So tight end Dalton Kincaid from Utah to the Los Angeles Chargers at number 21. Number 22, Baltimore Ravens. You go defense here. Edge rusher Myles Murphy from Clemson. I think he is I'm going with edge and offensive lineman here right now. Man, let me go on and tell you, Myles Murphy is a talent. He's done really, really well at Clemson. I would pick Myles Murphy to build up and continuing to build more of that Baltimore defense. That Baltimore defense is stout. I would continue to build more on it. So Myles Murphy from Clemson there. So, number 23, the Minnesota Vikings. They just picked up Justin Jefferson's fifth-year option. Not surprising. He's the best receiver, probably in the league right now. So, what do? You go out and get another one. They replace Adam Thielen with wide receiver Jordan Addison from USC. I think he is a solid wide receiver, probably one of the best in this class. His IQ and the way he can read a corner and read the safeties is bar none. Again, I keep saying bar none, but bar none, one of the best in the draft. So Jordan Addison, he was a great threat to college defenses last season with Caleb Williams throwing to him. Let's see what Kirk Cousins does with him. I think it's a good option there. So Jordan Addison going to the Vikings at 23. Number 24, Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. They get offensive linemen to help Trevor Lawrence out. Darnell Wright from Tennessee. That is a good pick. He was a solid blocker for Hendon Hooker last year. I think Darnell Wright could help Trevor Lawrence out tremendously, especially on the left side. I think that Trevor Lawrence has been sacked quite enough since last season. You got to build up that line, man. They got the pieces. They got Marvin Jones. They got Calvin Ridley. They have Christian Kirk. Man, all you got to get now is some linemen. You got some pieces. You got Evan Ingram. He went from being okay to the Giants to being probably one of the best tight ends in the league. Evan Ingram has. So he's got the weapons to throw to, and he's got the backs. With Travis Etienne, he just needs an offensive line to help protect him. And the Jacksonville Jaguars could be back in the playoffs. So Darnell Wright, good pick here to build on that line there. So the number 25, the New York Giants are on the clock. They go wide receiver, and they get help with Quentin Johnson from TCU. I said last week that I do not know why that Quentin Johnson is projected to go second round. I think he is a first round talent. I think he is one of the best receivers in this draft. I am very, and most not just best, I think he's one of the most underrated receivers in this draft. I think he was a solid receiver for TCU last season. He was a big part of their offense with Max Duggan throwing to him and has their go-to guy. Quentin Johnson could be that guy for Daniel Jones. I think it'd be a good pickup there. Go with wide receiver Quentin Johnson, TCU, and, let's make some magic happen with the New York Giants, and hopefully, please, get Saquon Barkley back on board. So that's another thing. Anyway, let's go with 26, the Dallas Cowboys, their rival there. So Dallas Cowboys, they select Emmanuel Forbes, Mississippi State. I said that last week. I said that Emmanuel Forbes could be a guy that they lean towards for as more defensive backs and more leverage. You got Trayvon Diggs already. All you need now is Emmanuel Forbes to complete that, cornerback spot. And he's a solid cornerback, so why not? I would get Emmanuel Forbes, one of the best defensive backs in the SEC from last season. Good, solid pickup there. He's a smart player, and if I'm Dallas, I'm looking into that one. So, and they're right to look into that one as well. So, number 27, the Buffalo Bills. You have Devin Singletary and you have Zach Moss, but you pick up another one. Running back Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama. If you want to rotate and have a more high-octane offense, you get a power back with Devin Singletary, but you get an all-balanced back with Jahmyr Gibbs. If you want a power runner, you get Jahmyr Gibbs. You want a guy who can catch it? Guess what? Jahmyr Gibbs is your guy. So Jahmyr Gibbs, electric for Alabama last season. He was electric for Georgia Tech as well before he transferred to Alabama. But Jahmyr Gibbs out of Georgia Tech / Alabama is a good player, good pickup there. Buffalo Bills with Jahmyr Gibbs would be a scary thought. I think they just add more to that offense with him in the backfield. In my draft, Jahmyr Gibbs goes to Buffalo. Number 28 is the Cincinnati Bengals. They add more to your offensive line in the second round because you cannot pass up on this man in the first round. Tight end, Michael Mayer, Notre Dame. I know they got Hayden Hurst on the team now, but Joe Burrow can also throw it to another guy. He's just they're just lining Joe Burrow up with weapons. You got Jamar Chase as his number 1, T. Higgins as his wide receiver 2. You got Tyler Boyd as receiver 3. Then you got as tight end 1, you got Hayden Hurst. But the new tight end 1, or a rotating tight end, could be Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. He accelerates off the catch just like Dalton Kincaid. He's a big, bulky tight end. He can block well if anybody runs or if Joe Burrow runs as well. So, Michael Mayer, good tight end, good blocking tight end, and he could do some wonders for the Cincinnati Bengals as a part of blocking. So if you want a line, get some more linemen, which I highly suggest for the Bengals to get more linemen in this draft. However, you can go. It wouldn't hurt to get a blocking tight end as well because he's a good blocker and he can help, fend off some of those players, who are trying to come after Joe Burrow and take his head off. So, Michael Mayer, Notre Dame, good pick there for the Cincinnati Bengals in my take. So, number 29, the New Orleans Saints from a trade from Miami and Denver. They select defensive tackle Brian Brees. So, Brian Brees from Clemson, good player, good overall defensive tackle, up in the middle, takes on the line well. He is a, good defensive tackle if you want to, get that pressure on the quarterback. New Orleans Saints take Brian Brees from Clemson. That's defensive tackle there. Number 30, Philadelphia Eagles linebacker. They select linebacker Drew Sanders from Arkansas. I think he is a highly touted pick. I said that number 8 was on a mock draft. I think that's a little too high for Drew Sanders. I think he is a first-round pick, but a late first-round pick. And I think Drew Sanders does great things up the middle. I think this is one of the first linebackers I've said besides I think that's one of the first linebackers I've mentioned in my mock draft, and I think he's the first linebacker to come off the board in my mock draft, the Pigskin Frenzy mock draft. So Drew Sanders, he did some incredible stuff up in the middle last year with Arkansas. I think he can do some incredible stuff up in the middle for Philadelphia Eagles. They select linebackers Drew Sanders, and that closes out the draft for the Eagles, and they select all defense here. So number 31, the Kansas City Chiefs, again, make some noise. This mock draft is if trades don't happen. So if trades don't happen, this is just the current state of orders now. So in a few hours, there could be trades. So who knows? But number 31, the Kansas City Chiefs select defensive lineman Kalijah Cansey from Pitt. That one gets me excited because you replace Frank Clark, and Frank Clark's gone. Who do you get? You get probably the best defensive lineman at least from the combine, and the best Pitt defensive player since Aaron Donald, and Kalijah Cansey from Pitt. Good player, good on the attack. It's going to be hard to hold him and hard to contain him, which is what you want in a defensive lineman. So the Kansas City Chiefs select Kalijah Cansey. He is too valuable to be not a first-round pick. And, really, that just about wraps it up. Kalijah Cansey ends the first round, and that is the Pigskin Frenzy Round 1 mock draft. I'm sorry I went over just a tad bit, but we're out of time. That was the Pigskin Frenzy Round 1 mock draft. So we're out of time. Like I said, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL draft coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the episode, and leave a comment down below. Spotify, if you're listening on there, share around with others, and follow on there as well. Facebook, we're on there. I'm going to get to that first. I'm sorry. Podbean, share around with others. I'm so excited. Podbean, share around with others. Follow on there as well. Sorry. Now we will get to the social media. Twitter, at pigskin_frenzy, all lowercase. All you got to do is type that bad boy in. You'll follow and like the page there. Then you'll get episode updates as well as news and notifications from across college and NFL football. Facebook now, same thing. All you got to do is just type in Pigskin Frenzy. You'll follow and like the page there. You'll get episode updates as well as news, highlights, and notifications from across college and NFL football. That just about does it. The NFL draft is tonight, 8 Eastern. NFL Network, NFL Plus, ABC, and ESPN live from Kansas City, Missouri, Union Station, the historical Union Station. It's free to get in if you live in Kansas City, and if you're there live, it is free to get in, free of entry. The 2023 NFL Draft begins round 1 tonight. I'm excited. I will probably provide some updates on Facebook. I may go live. I'm not sure yet, but I may give a live after recap of everything for round 1. So I'm Joel Norris. Tune into the draft tonight. So excited. I'm Joel Norris signing off, and we will see you for a college football edition of Pigskin Frenzy Tuesday.